Hey guys! Don't know why I did that. Let's start off with the beginning. So, my crazy stories. Um, so while you're in La Paz, a major thing you do is Death Road, which is you bike down the, I don't think it's still the deadliest road, but it used to be the world's most deadliest road, and people still die, but not as often, because they don't have cars on the road anymore, and it's very, if you go with a good tour company, you should be fine. But I decided I didn't really want to do Death Road for whatever reason. I was going to do it, but then I thought I was traveling by myself and I thought it'd be a lot more fun with like just knowing someone, and so I didn't really chicken out. I just thought I'd spend my money elsewhere. It's probably, it's like $70, $75 to $150 depending on what company you go and what kind of bike you go with. So anyways, I decided that what I wanted to do most was go to just see the scenery. And I was looking at this town. Let me look up the name. Coroico. It's called Coroico, and it's kind of, if you go through Death Road and you end, it's at the end of Death Road. So even if you do Death Road, you can, instead of going back to La Paz, you can just overnight it in Coroico, which is this sleepy little mountain town which has lots of good hiking. And so I was in La Paz and I found this, I really wanted to go to the Amazon, and there's two ways to do it. You can take this like 24-30 hour bus that's really sketchy, and I just heard horror stories about this bus just running off the road, breaking down, just driving crazy, just horrible stories. But I mean, they're stories, so the people lived, but I also heard stories about like running off cliffs and all this stuff, and it's a lot cheaper to go that way, obviously. And then the other way is to fly, which is $100 each way. And I kind of had this thing where I didn't want to fly at all. I wanted to make it all the way to North America by bus. So I was like, what do I do? Take the sketchy bus or check out the money to fly? So I was looking around like tourist agencies and stuff, and I found this one, and it's takes a raft down, or a boat down the river to Rurnbaki. And I mean, it was like $260 for a 6-day trip, or a 4-day trip on the boat. And it's time limits and stuff. I wanted to meet up with my friends again because I had a week and I had already extended it another week. So I signed up for the boat ride, which left on Tuesday, and was 4 days. And so then I would either take the bus back or from Murabaki or fly back. So, and there's two options. They can pick you up in La Paz or they can pick you up in Coroico. And I had already kind of decided that I want to go to Coroico and chill out there for a few days. So I signed up for this 4-day boat trip and told them to pick me up in Coroico. So I went down to Coroico, I think it was a Thursday or Friday. So I was going to have a few days there. So they have this, to get to Coroico, you have to take this like minivan, and it was the most car sick I've ever gotten in my life. And so the whole plan of going there is to see the view, like take a van and see the view, the same view that you would on Death Road, but I'm in a van versus on a bike. And so it's really windy, and I get car sick. This isn't nothing new, but it's really windy. So I saw the view for the first hour, and then the rest is 2 hours long. So the second hour I just had my head down and I could not look up. I was just in pain the whole time. And so I get to Coroico, and it's a really cute mountain town, and they just like the guy driving the van. First off, I knew I was gonna get sick, and they set me in the back corner, and I had pleaded with them. I'm like, please, 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 I get sick with my limited Spanish. I get car sick. Can I sit closer to the front or to a door? Because I was like the farthest from a door. Like 4 people had to get out of the car for me to get out of the car. And then no one could care less. They're like, nope, we don't want that seat. You get that seat. And I'm like, I'm gonna get car sick. If I throw up on you, then that's your problem. And the guy ahead of me, like, it's better when you have like wind in your face. So I kept asking him, I'm like, roll down your window, I'm car sick, in Spanish. And so he'd do it for maybe 2 minutes, and then he'd be like, I don't know, well, like, I guess she's okay now, and roll it back up. And so I had to keep being like, do you want me to throw up in the back of your face or neck? Like, are you serious? So I get there, and I'm so car sick. Everyone gets out, and I'm still in the back seat, like I can't move. So I managed to crawl out, and we're like at a church. And then by the church, there's a like a bench, and there's 2 old men, and then there's an empty seat. And so the guy like checks my stuff on the curb, and I couldn't even make it to the bench. I had to like sit on the curb next to my stuff for a good 10 minutes. So finally after 10 minutes, and I could hear the old men in the back being in Spanish like, check out that cute girl, you know, she's sick. I don't know, my Spanish isn't that good, but I could tell they're laughing at me. So then after 10 minutes, I finally muster up the courage, the energy to grab my pack and sit next to these guys. And then probably a good another 20 minutes, and luckily I had got food before I left because I just needed to get energy in me. So I just like chugged down this like muffin or whatever I had. And then finally I was like, okay, I know where my hostel is, hotel. So I'm like, okay, gonna walk it. Like, that's me. Like, I could have got a taxi, but if I can walk it, I'm gonna walk it. So I managed to get there, and I think they messed up my, like, I don't know. So anyways, I just went to bed. So that was my first day in Coroico. And then the rest of the time I was there, and there's no internet. It's like in the middle of nowhere, so there's no internet. So I went on hikes during the day. It's also during election time, which everyone said that during their, like, wherever they were at, like, everything was completely closed during election day. Not in Coroico, everything was open. Everyone, like, even cars could drive or something, but cars were driving. I think it's just, I was in such a small town that, like, no one cared. But so I'd go on hikes in the morning, and then in the afternoon I would go to the park, the town center, and it was so hot all the time that people would just get ice cream, and sit out there and chill in the park center. So I would get ice cream every day, and then spend the afternoon at the pool, and it was just a really good few days. So I'm planning on going on this boat tour, and I, like, when I signed up for it, there was maybe a few people signed up, but not many, not enough to go. So I had to get back in touch with them and see if there's enough people to go. So I got back in touch with them, and they said there wasn't enough people. So I had to, on Thursday there's a rafting trip. That was 6 days, so I added 2 days to the tour, and I had to wait 2 more days, so that's 4 days total. And I was supposed to meet up with my friends, but I was like, whatever, I'll do this rafting tour and just tell my friends that I can't meet up with them for longer than I expected. So I was in Coroico for about, like, probably like a little less than a week, but I was there for a long time. But it was cool because I was chilling out by the pool, taking hikes, eating ice cream, and it was just a pretty place to chill out. And by then I really needed just somewhere to rest for a while, so it was a good place. So Thursday comes along, and all I was told was to meet at the church at 3 p.m. So I went to the church at 3 p.m. and someone picked me up. and that there would be 3 other foreigners. So there'd be a total, actually I think they said there was 5 others. There ended up being 3 others, 4 total, but he said there was 5 other people, foreigners. So I sat at the church at 3 p.m. I was a little bit early actually. Typical Bolivians, or South America for that general. They were late, so 3:30 rolls long, and I'm just like, okay, I'm on Bolivia time. I have to relax and just let things be. And all of a sudden this lady comes up to me and it was like, you come with me. And I was like expecting it, because I obviously knew that someone was going to come up to me and tell them to get into their car, because that's what I was waiting for. But I looked at the car and it was full of Bolivians. I'm like, okay, this doesn't seem right. So I'm like, what is my name? What is my name? Like, I wanted the lady to tell me my name to make sure that she got the right foreigner, even though I was like the only foreigner. And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, wait, I'm not going anywhere with you until you tell me what my name is. So she calls up the company and they're like, oh, your name's Kim. I'm like, okay, my name is Kim, good job. So I get in the car with her and I was like stoked, because I got the front seat and I'm like, we're good. Because I knew we had to drive to the river to get into the raft, but she just drives me down the road to this little, it's not really a city, it's this kind of intersection where all the buses go by and where people from Death Road go past to go back to La Paz. It was probably like a 5-minute drive. And she just tells me to get out and to sit on the curb outside this like police checkpoint place. So I just do that. And I'm just very nonchalant at this point. And there's like restaurants and stuff and people selling stuff. So there's lots of people and there's a police station there. And she's like, wait here for the bus. I was like, okay. So I'm waiting and I'm waiting. So I'm waiting there. And then the police officers are like, why is this foreigner like hanging out at the curb of our police station? So they start asking questions and I'm like, I'm waiting for a bus to go on a tour. And they're like, oh, what tour? They're asking me all these questions and I'm like, I don't know, I didn't ask. Like, I just, for some reason I thought when I signed up for a tour that it'd be like set in stone, like I'm paying for them to do this task, so I thought like everything would be organized and I would just go on it, so I didn't ask too many questions. And they're like, okay, and I had the receipt, but I had the receipt for the boat tour that was supposed to leave on Tuesday, but then I changed it because that one got canceled to Thursday, which is a rafting. So it said my destination was in Rumbaki, which technically it was, because it's a 6-day tour and it ends in Rumbaki. But I wasn't going to Rumbaki, I was going to a small town which had the entry to the river that I was going on, but that wasn't on the receipt. And the dates were wrong, and I had written something on the back about something that had nothing to do with anything, and they kept looking at my notes on the back and be like, oh, this is right. And I'm like, no, that had nothing to do, that was like how I got to Coroico. I was like, don't read that, like that has nothing to do with what I'm trying to do now. And so they were just really confused. I was really confused. I was waiting for a bus, they knew that. So they stopped every single bus that went to Rumbaki and was trying to get me on the bus. And I was like, I knew that I had already paid for like the trip in full. So when they're trying to get me on the bus driver was trying to get me to pay for a ticket. And I was like, no, this must not be the right bus, because the bus driver knows that I'm supposed to get on the bus so I don't have to pay. And they were confused, which was really endearing that they were trying to help me, but they were just getting me more flustered than anything. So I called, luckily I had gotten a SIM card, and I called the number that was on my receipt, and I was to the guy I talked to, and I was like, the bus isn't here. It had been like 2 hours by then, like, and he was like, don't worry, it's coming. And he told me what bus to look for. It's like a blue bus heading in what direction, and he's like, don't worry, like it'll come. They know they're looking for you, and there's like 3 or 5 foreigners on the bus that are expecting you to come, so like don't worry, like it will like stop and ask for you. So like, okay. So I get off the phone, and then the police officer's standing there like, so what's the deal? And like he was talking to me in English, and I turned to him, I'm like, I have no clue how to translate that in Spanish, like, and I had forgotten half of what he said. So I texted him back, I'm like, can you text me back everything you just said so the police officers know what to look for too in Spanish? And so he did that, so I showed it to the police officers. So they're like, okay. And so then it's like 5 hours go by, and it's getting dark, and I'm just like, something's wrong here. So I call the guy back, and I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, you're not on the bus yet? So he calls the bus company. Turns out the bus had like a flat tire, or it broke down. So they spent like an hour or so trying to like fix the bus, and then decided it wasn't fixable, and then had a new bus come out. So it took like 7 hours. So finally, the police officers are still trying to get me on every bus. But the police officers are being so sweet and like stopping every bus and being like, are you expecting a foreigner? So finally, they're like, come, get on this bus. This is the right bus. And it's like the 20th bus they're trying to get me on. But this one, actually, the bus driver did seem to like want me. So I get on, he didn't ask for a ticket or anything. And I get on, and I see 3 other foreigners. So, and they're all sleeping. They're not looking for me at all. They had a long day. They had a sound rope for like 3 hours. So I wake one up, and I'm like, are you with this company going on this rafting tour? And they're like, yes, you're on the right bus. Like, we're supposed to be looking for you. But they weren't. So I was like, thank goodness I found the right bus. Like 7 hours later, when I was stranded in the middle of nowhere. But obviously, the bus starts in La Paz, and I got on, it was like 3 hours after La Paz, so every seat was full. So I had to just sit on the floor, which was kind of comfy because I just laid down on the floor. I had already been not laying down, but I've been sitting on like a dirt road for 7 hours. So I was pretty dusty with all the cars going by. So just sitting on the bus floor wasn't too bad. So then we're on that. It was like 7 o'clock when I got on. We were supposed to arrive in the town that we're supposed to get on the raft by 7 o'clock, and I didn't get on the bus till 7 o'clock. So we like stop at some sketchy places along the way, and the bus, yeah, this bus is the bus that goes through Mbaki, but we would have got off, like we got off on an earlier stop. So it was super sketchy. And so people are getting off along the way, and eventually I get a seat, and it's like the back row center. So it's like broken, so I'm like going like this the whole time, which I think the floor was more comfortable. And so we're about to our destination, and I'm just keeping my eye on the other foreigners because I don't know what's going on. And this guy next to me, I have shorts on, and I do have shorts on because it's hot. He's like, and I have my backpack on my lap, and he's like touching my leg, touching my knee. Like he's sleeping, but he's like kind of touching my leg. So I would like move my leg, and then he would like do it again, like rub my leg, and I'm like, this is creepy. And then like, I'm like, is he trying to like rub my leg, or is he trying to steal something in my backpack? So I'm like holding my backpack closer and like watching more firmly, and I'm like giving him dirty looks, and I'm like swatting him away, and he just keeps, and he's like sleeping the whole time. And then the bus stops for our, like right before our stop that we have to get off. And he just leans over and gives me a kiss on the cheek. And I'm like, what? So the bus stops, and I swear I'm in the back row, and I book it off the bus, and I'm the first one off. I just like flew out. So we get out, it's 2 in the morning. And obviously because our bus was 7 hours late, our guide wasn't like there to pick us up. We're like, oh, what do we do? Because we have a hotel included in this tour, but we don't know the name of the hotel. So luckily I have a phone, and I called the guy up again, and I'm like, our tour guide's not here, like what do we do? So he ended up calling our tour guide, and he came at 2 in the morning and took us to the right hotel. So then that's when I kind of meet the people I'm with. I'm with, for the next 6 days, I was with a French couple which knew Spanish, English, and French, so it was perfect because they just translated the whole time. And I was also with this Australian girl who was traveling by herself, which was amazing because I didn't want to be like the third wheel for anyone, because a lot of people travel in like pairs. But so she was by herself, I was by myself. She didn't know any Spanish, I didn't know any Spanish, so it was just a match made in heaven for us. So we got to hang out with each other, and the French couple were awesome. So they could get up to like 10 people on this raft, but 4 people was the minimum, and I loved that there's the 4 of us. Alright, so I'm kind of running out of time, so I don't want to keep these videos too long, so I'm going to do the rafting story and probably Bucky together in my next video. So see you guys.